my cast. My name is Wilstan Castallino, and with me in the studio today is Rohith RG. How you doing, man?
Yo, I'm good, bro. Oh, that was my cue to talk?
Yeah.
That's kind of awkward, huh?
Yeah. So we were talking before this. We were talking about how you came from LA and then kind of started your career here as a
Yeah,
musician, and then kind of shifted towards gear making thing. So
yeah, yeah.
so I have a question for you. Like, what did you pursue as a career? Was it a technical background or
Not
something?
really. So I kind of I ended up taking business economics,
All right.
and then slowly it was like BBA pretty much. So I
Okay.
moved
Okay.
back over here, and I was like, transferred my course to BBA. I dropped out twice
All right.
from UCLA and another college in Madurai.
Okay.
I don't
Okay.
know. It was, college really didn't do nothing for me
Yeah.
personally, but
Right.
yeah.
Right. Most of the
So
colleges don't do shit for you.
yeah, pretty much. It's a
Yeah.
scam, bro. It's just a
Yeah.
big old scam.
Big
But
old
yeah,
scam. Yeah.
I
Anyways.
just came over here and I was like, I started getting into making music around 2018, 2017 early.
Right.
And around 2019, I just ended up because I was just looking at musical gear. I was like comfortable enough to look for musical gear that I wanted to buy, and like most of the times, anything that was on the market was like pretty much not what I wanted. So I
Right.
just
Right.
started setting sales to like make my own at that point.
Yeah. So, what kind of music were you at that point? What kind of music were you producing or playing?
So I was making like experimental stuff, which is
Right.
just, I was playing obviously in clubs and things like that. It was all the top 100 stuff and,
Yeah.
a bunch of like mix between whatever I feel cool.
Right.
So
Right. Right.
it's kind of very open format in the way that I
Right.
DJ. It was like,
All right. Yeah.
I was
You're not
playing deep
sticking to.
house.
Yeah. You're not sticking
Yeah,
to
yeah.
particular
I was
genres.
playing chill ballet, deep house. I
Right.
was playing other stuff. I don't even know, bro. It's like
Yeah.
there's like too many genres that I was playing. I was playing bass house in Vegas for a while.
All right.
Then I was like playing I was a bass head for a while. So I was like all this festival trap type music,
Right. Right.
like Han Solo and all the future bass stuff as well.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so that whole lineup of things.
Yes. And what in terms of production? What did you just? You were.
So yeah, I kind of set out to make bass music, but I kind of like ended up fell flat on my face because it's too complex, and I really jumped into it like, oh, it must be easy. And I was like,
Yeah.
looked at all the cymatics demos, and I was like, that ain't it.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, I just ended up making lo-fi for a while, and then
Right.
just an easy genre. Just picked up something that I can
Yeah.
easily get together.
Yeah.
So I picked up lo-fi for a while, and then I started making like experimental, like house, like slightly experimental lo-fi house.
Right.
Early before it like kind of blew up on YouTube and things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, nothing that was like too solid or too proud, or nothing that got like too much traction, obviously.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, slowly, gradually, you started feeling that you were feeling the lack of sounds or gear. That's why you set out to go invent
Yeah,
your own
pretty
stuff.
much. Yep, pretty much.
Yeah. So what was your thought process behind, or what was the kind of the process in which you discovered the technical bit of making gear? Because it's definitely not a piece of cake. You gotta
Yeah,
your hands dirty. You gotta know the shit how to
yeah,
blow up circuits, I guess.
yeah. I mean, it isn't. Thank God, technology has like came up to a part where you don't have to think about it too much. So as I was saying, right, it was more like,
Yeah.
What
So
was
I
it?
was asking, what kind of was the process of you discovering this art of making gear, audio gear, since because it is kind of complicated when you look from outside, like
Yeah,
it's a
yeah.
bunch of circuits. If
So
you're not, if you're a person who's not, since you said you were in business school, so I'm assuming that you never exposed to and
yeah. I
technology.
wasn't.
Yeah. So
It was very
yeah, you're
off
saying
the
thank God
line.
technology.
Yeah. Thank God technology is at a point where like you don't have to go through like circuit bursting and things like that. I
Yeah.
mean, I have killed my fair share of boards, not too many, but I have done it. But
Hmm.
you know, So there was one to the whole point of how I began making stuff, right?
Right.
There was one specific moment when I bought a launch key Mark 25. I mean, I don't know what it is. Mark 2, the big keyboard,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
49, yeah, the
49. Yeah,
Malaysia
even
one.
I have, even I have bought that one. Yeah,
Yeah,
with the
so I bought
pads
that. Yes, yes,
and
I
the
bought it
figure.
for the
Yeah,
pads, pretty
yeah.
much.
Okay,
It
okay.
was cheap,
It's
if
actually
I
a good
wanted to learn
controller,
the
you know,
keys. Yeah, it is. It is. It
comparative
definitely
to
is.
whatever's there out, especially because it is very compatible with Ableton, right? Because there are some
Mm,
other in the league like Alice's or like Oxygen, like from the M Audio. They're fine, but this has like a lot of functionality. You're getting faders, you're getting those,
yeah.
and you
So I
can
kind of saw all the YouTube videos and went and picked that
right.
up. Not for me, right?
Yeah,
Ended
yeah,
up. I don't know how to play keys.
yeah, yeah.
I'm not classically trained or nothing. I'm just a DJ, so
Right, right,
I was just DJing for the longest. I've been DJing for like 8 years, pretty much. Like
right.
just learning the art craft, like
Yeah,
honing it.
yeah,
So pretty much, I've been doing that for the longest. And when I wanted to get into music, like production, and I was like, oh, I need to learn keys or something like that. I felt that for a while.
right.
So I was like, all right, let me just pick up an instrument. And I went and bought this. And I kind of was not happy with the drum pads. You kind of have to hit it a little too much.
Yeah, yeah.
And, I was always me know that. The
Right,
MIDI Fighter is a device from DJ Tech Tools.
right. Yeah, I've heard
It
of.
was they kind of yeah they bought the whole arcade button thing for the
Yeah,
first
yeah,
time.
yeah.
So I was following that when it came out and it was hot and new. But then what happened was, as time went on, I tried to ship it. I tried to import it way back in 2012 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Not 2012, somewhere more recent, I guess, 2016 or 15ish. But like, yeah,
So,
import
so you
taxes.
had it shipped it from where?
No, I didn't have it shipped.
Oh, you
I was
didn't have it
looking
shipped.
at
Oh,
shipping
okay,
it.
okay. You
Yeah,
have it. Yeah, okay, okay, okay.
I was looking at it
Right,
and I
right.
realized it was
Yeah,
too expensive.
yeah, yeah,
That ain't it,
yeah. Right,
that
okay,
ain't it,
yeah.
chief.
Right,
So I was like, all right, let me just work on something else. And like
right.
at that time, I didn't really think about it. It wasn't really, you know, like I was like, all right, I can't get it. That's it.
Yeah,
End of the line.
yeah. Right, yeah,
I'm not gonna spend time. It's unattainable at this point.
right.
I'm just
It's
like, all right, that's it.
yeah,
So I'll probably end up years pass. Uh, I'm back in the market for hardware,
right,
and I buy a piece of hardware that I don't like. In
right.
the sense, I saw all the reviews and things like that, and
Yeah,
I wanted more tactile feedback when I was like finger drumming or whatever. And
yeah,
like
yeah,
I could finger drum basic patterns, just
yeah.
basic stuff. And I wanted something where like I know that I hit this button, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a while after a while, I was just having this idea, right? I was on Amazon one day just buying some dumb shit.
Right,
And then one day was like arcade buttons, just the buttons
right.
from some company out of China. And they were doing international global shipping and they'll take care of all the shipping stuff. And
Right.
it would end up like Amazon fulfilled, it will end up at your doorstep.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right then,
So
okay,
went
let me
for
just
it.
buy the buttons. Yeah. I was just like, I might find a use for some. I just buy dumb shit off Amazon. Yeah.
I
I was
mean,
just
it's
there.
crazy. I mean, it's crazy if you can end up making such cool gear by just buying dumb shit on Amazon. That people should do it more often, I think. So.
Yeah, Jeff, where's my check? You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, but
Jeff.
seriously, so you
Yeah.
so basically, I think so. Those arcade buttons are just perfect for finger drumming because you constantly need the
Yes.
feedback, right? But arcade game is
Yes.
all about feedback at the right time, right? You need to press that button at the right time. So basically, I think
Yep.
that's a very good. Of course, not for if you want velocity. I think that is where the part you.
Yeah, yeah. If you want like expressive playing, right?
Yeah. Right.
That is not it.
Yeah.
Again, you can like get over that fact by like adding a velocity, plugin from Ableton and put it in random and like figure that out a
Yeah,
little
yeah,
bit.
yeah. That will be
Kind of like
that's a workaround.
introduce
Yeah,
randomity. Yeah, but it's not again. It's not as
not
perfect.
yeah.
Like let's say you want to do a snare roll that's like varying in volume, like a real
Yeah,
drummer.
yeah,
Can't do none of that. Hi
yeah.
hats. It's all
Right.
just flat. It's just one
Yeah,
frequency.
yeah, yeah.
I just wanted something to punch, notes in
Right,
pretty
right.
much. I just wanted to punch notes in. I'll do
Yeah.
everything in post, figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was my reasoning inside my head. And I bought these buttons, and
Yeah.
this was the buttons. This is the first controller that I
Yeah.
bought.
Yeah.
These were the exact buttons that I bought, right?
Yeah. Right.
Uh, no idea on what the button size is. No idea on how I'm gonna fit. I didn't have it at home for a week, and one of my friends, I'm kind of like, spitballing, telling everybody, damn, I should like start building this shit, bro. Like I have the part, I kind of know where I want to start. So
So
let
at that point, you actually didn't have any idea how you're going to take those pieces
nope,
and make it into a functioning thing,
nothing.
right? Nothing. You just
No,
bought
I
it like,
had
okay, let's just figure
blank
out.
slate. Yeah.
And that
So I
is
kind of,
very less people, I guess, do that kind of stuff these days. I don't
yeah,
think
they kind of
I would ever
overthink it.
thought. Yeah, I mean, why would you would obviously think at one point it's just waste of money, but you actually don't think like you
Yeah.
could be, using it to make something wonderful. Anyway, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you bought these buttons, and now you're good. So how did you come about like making the first version of whatever you wanted?
So I picked up these buttons, and yeah, I started researching on what are HID devices, and like,
Right.
HID is like human interface. Your keyboard is a HID, external
Right.
keyboards.
Yeah.
Your mouse is an HID device. And I just started looking into that and what board starts to support natively, like what development board supports native HID operation. And I
Right.
found out this board manufacturer from the US called Teensy.
Right.
And I can actually pull up one of the chips that I'm using it for a new product. So
Okay.
this is a TNC 3.5. I
Right.
initially used a 3.2, which is like half the size.
Right.
But like, yeah, I kind of picked up a TNC and just dove into Ableton pretty much. I mean, not Ableton, like Arduino and the code side. And I
Right.
started looking up on like, example projects and projects that other people have done, what kind of libraries they use. And I kind of started learning about like, oh, you need a library to make a button work.
Right.
And interface, this hardware interaction and all. So all my knowledge, even though I'm not like too technical or detailed
Right.
on like
Yeah.
the code side, it was
Yeah.
all from the internet. So I kind of like start taking all that data in, and the first version, confident in myself to like solder or nothing like that, right? I find a local company that does projects for colleges and schools, so
Yeah.
year-end projects or something
Right.
like that. So they'll make you these exhibition projects, and they'll do all the work. So I go to them and tell them, so I want a single pin out of every button that I connect to the board, and I kind of want everything soldered in a certain way. And they charge me like a shit ton of money for some stupidly simple shit that I could have done myself, but I didn't have the confidence in me at that time to do.
Right.
So I kind of like went around and spent the money and like, made that whole thing. But,
So how much initially you kind of had to spend, like
start
you had it
plugging
soldered and everything?
in buttons, and I'm like, hey, what's gonna go on? Like, how is this gonna work? I got one button to work, and that was it. That's all I had to do.
So how did you like?
Yo,
how do you know
this.
like if a button is working? So how did you test it, or what is the kind of the rough science behind how it works?
So to get into that, it's like I kind of chose, and that's what I meant when I said, like before the podcast started, we were talking about how technology is now that you don't have to worry about things, right? It's kind of developed at a point where there are libraries and dependencies. All you have to do is like research it and understand the things, like and like apply that over here. So I picked up this board. I had an example sketch, which comes with the library, which is like a simple example to show you how a certain code works.
Right.
And I just do that one sketch, and I remember copy pasting the buttons, like copy pasting the same code like 17 times to get the buttons to work. And some pins work, some pins don't. So I'm like reassigning pins and things like that.
Right.
The thing with TCs are like, especially these boards, I chose these boards out of the US because these boards are usually they support MIDI natively. You don't have to do any specific mods or anything like that.
Okay.
So when you compile one of these boards, you just choose for this device to act as a HID device,
Right.
and it just works.
Instead
Nothing
of
else. You
having
just
an
up.
instead of having another process where you add particular code to make it as a
Yes,
mod to work.
yes,
Right.
yeah. Instead of a mod, this natively supported it.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, and then I kind of like that was a starting point. Like when I
Right.
got the buttons, when it was clicky,
Yeah.
and I put it in. There's a video clip on my Instagram.
Maybe
If
we
you
can
go to
pull
the
it up.
original post, yeah, pull it up. It's on my first thing. I was like plugging the wires. I'm in like a dining table somewhere, and I'm like pressing these buttons. I'm like, it's working or some shit like that, you know?
Yeah, I kind of understand what that feeling would be, because when you actually
Yeah,
put a lot of work into something and you finally see it working,
yeah.
it's some other feeling.
It's just learning it, by yourself and figuring the whole thing out.
Yeah,
So the post down, the yellow one.
yellow buttons.
Yep, that's the one. So this was a couple weeks
Yeah.
after I like,
Actually, I saw this post. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
You guys,
So
I saw you guys jam on this as a.
yeah. I kind of took it to Bangalore where I knew a couple of producer friends. Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
this is how I made the enclosure. That's another story. We go to the
So
next one.
this was your first device.
Yeah, this was my first device. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought this was like your third or fourth device, and
No,
I
this
thought
was
you
my
didn't post your
first.
first device.
Not really. This was my first
All
attempt
right.
at it.
That's really
Yeah.
impressive for a first device. It looks so neat and
I
clean.
mean, uh, just goes to show you that if you do enough research and
Yeah,
understand all the data that's out there, right,
yeah,
you can get this thing going. The next
right.
page.
So the output of
This
this is in MIDI, right?
the one before that. Yep.
The output,
Yeah. So
how would you connect one of these to your computer? Basically with like a MIDI cable, a printer MIDI cable?
yeah, pretty much, pretty much. So
Yeah, we can play it.
one of these jacks.
All right. Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
Like yeah, this is the first board, and you can see how janky my connections are, right there,
Yeah,
because I was just testing it all out.
right.
And I was like in Ableton with my sampler on
Yeah,
and seeing
it's
the thing
working.
moving. Yeah.
So this is like out of the box compatible with the Ableton. That's crazy.
It's not just Ableton. It's MIDI is like an open source language,
Yeah,
right?
right.
So it's compatible with anything. You just
Any
gotta
DAW.
map everything first.
Yeah,
Yeah, any
yeah.
DAW. It just sends MIDI messages, and
Right,
you can like
Yeah.
point it towards any DAW to say whatever, right?
Yeah. So this is like a very simplest version of something you would see in a complex keyboard. Like they have like multiple things
Yes.
going on over there.
Yes, pretty
So yeah,
much.
before this we were talking like how you couldn't implement like velocity in your. Okay, let's before getting that, I also wanted to know like uh, so you used to buy boards and stuff like and then connect those buttons and stuff and then write probably a code for it which will
Yeah, pretty
help
much.
you
You choose
recognize
a
the
uh-huh.
device and
Yeah.
then you implement it in your DAW, right? So
Yeah.
so while doing this process, so was it like a trial and error process, or you had previous versions which didn't work out for you, and now then finally this is the version which,
Um,
or like it was like a first go, like you bought those buttons and you connected them, and it was like, oh, hooray!
Not exactly, right? It was
Yeah.
like I did enough research on the hardware side, which was the hardest part. Not that hard either, but like because it was like very simple. It's like how can I put this right? I don't know. I might use a car analogy that I don't know if most people would
It's
get,
fine.
but
It's
it's
fine.
like it's like choosing and it's like choosing and filter system or an exhaust for a bike or a car.
Right.
And you're like, oh, I'm gonna choose this. I'm gonna cut the pipe off right here.
Yeah.
And like my whole thing to DIY gear and like doing it yourself, that whole approach started from cars essentially. Like I used to build cars with my brother. It was like a
Oh,
very,
that's cool.
yeah, and that's also on my Instagram. But like,
Oh.
my brother was a big car nerd, and he had his own garage in the Middle East and things like that.
Right.
and we used to like build cars like daily, like customer cars, our
But you
cars. It was
used to
just
build
modded
for
cars.
other people. I thought like just a passion thing, but it's
Yeah, like we had a garage where we used to
garage.
build for others because people
Right.
saw our things and they were like,
Customize.
oh,
Basically, you used to customize.
yeah, yeah. Correct. It was like Pimp My Ride, but in the middle of the desert. That's what I was saying.
Crazy dude.
But
I've
like,
seen
yeah.
one of those shows like Gotham Garage or something like that. So you are like one of those guys. You take
Yeah,
their
those.
vehicles in and then transform it to something
Yeah,
crazy.
but like I don't take it, right? They come and give it to me and ask me to
Yeah,
do
yeah,
the
obviously,
whole
yeah,
thing. So I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
so
Otherwise, I don't know.
yeah,
Some people might not be happy if you just take their vehicles.
exactly. How about we take your vehicle and not give it back?
Yeah, that would be the bad deal, right?
People won't be they won't be impressed. But
Even,
yeah.
even worse, if you like take their vehicles and make it like I don't know, like screw it up and give it to them. Like even worse because
Oh
like
yeah.
then they are
That
driving
that's
a
just
faulty vehicle.
that. Yeah, that's just Indian, customer care, vehicle
Yeah,
customer care, bro.
yeah,
You
yeah. Most
buy
of
a
the
Hyundai, yeah, you buy a Hyundai or anything, go to the service
they fuck it up.
for
They'll
an
take the
oil
original
change.
parts.
Yeah,
The original parts they'll
bro,
take.
bro.
Yeah.
Oh my God. We used to have a Mahindra Scorpio when it came out, like the old 2007 one. And I
Right.
remember my, uncle being like really good friends with the people inside.
Yeah.
They literally ripped off somebody else's window controller, right? The power windows, the
Oh.
switch inside the. They
Oh.
ripped it out of somebody else's car and put it into ours,
What the shit?
and they swapped it out. And I'm just standing there like, so fuck that guy, huh?
Guess
Uncle
fuck
was
that
just
guy.
there like, just fuck that guy, huh? So that's how it's gonna be. That's how y'all do it. All right.
Yeah,
As long as power window works for me, I guess.
yeah, man. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We're talking about
Yeah, I
the
get sidetracked a lot. Yeah, you were talking about how I like picked it up for the
yeah.
first time, right?
Yeah, so it
And
started
like,
working out for you. The buttons started working out for you. So I wanted to ask you, like, what is the
not really.
trial
Yeah.
and error process? So you said
So
obviously it is
it
a
was all code, bro. It
yeah,
was all the code side is where I struggled a lot because
right,
it was super,
yeah,
super
it's
crazy
tough.
to like
Yeah,
figure the whole thing out and like the whole void serial print and like,
the
oh my
language
God,
used
this.
is C plus plus, or what generally used
Yeah,
for
pretty much. Yeah,
right, right,
it's like a modified version of C, I guess, for
yeah,
Arduino.
yeah, yeah, right,
It's kind of like a different version, but like yeah, it was more or less the same thing. So
yeah. I guess it's
initially,
like
I'm
C
just
sharp, a little bit like C sharp, like a less version of C sharp. I don't know. I'm guessing because I
yeah,
learned a little bit
yeah,
of
I
C sharp.
guess.
I know it is a little bit
Uh
similar to
huh.
the C family, C plus plus and C
Yeah.
plus. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Could be, yeah. But yeah, the thing about programming language is like you have to be thorough and you have to be in there. Like
Oh
you have to
yeah,
be
definitely,
present and attentive at what you're doing. Otherwise, you,
definitely. Oh
yeah,
my god,
yeah.
it's like
So,
you
yeah,
gotta know what you're doing with it, like
yeah.
or else,
You're gonna
or
just
else
drive
you'll just be
yourself nuts.
stuck.
Yeah, you just
Yep,
drive
yep.
yourself
Which
nuts.
I did, right? Which I did, right? I drove myself nuts, and I remember going to GitHub. So essentially, what I was doing was I figured out the hardware part. I
Right.
knew this board is gonna work in this way because there were videos online about showing like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, so this board can do this, and it's so simple.
Right.
And I got the buttons as well, and I got wires, and I got the soldering done. So I'm
Hmm.
just there like, okay, now like what else to do now? Now it's just the code. Now it's just all you, and I'm just sitting in the computer downloading just library because I don't know how to code, right? I know
Yeah.
basic shit, like I understand like scopes and things like that. So
Right.
I'm just there like copy pasting, cutting
Yeah.
values.
Yeah.
So if there's one code that works for a certain button, I would just
Right.
copy, paste it under, and assign it to a different pin.
Different button. Yeah.
And these are the
Fully
basic things that I learned, right? The
yeah.
basic,
Yeah.
the most
Yeah.
basic.
Right.
And it was so janky. My code was so janky.
Yeah.
Like when I pressed the button, it would like send 15 messages at the same time.
Right. Right.
So it's like one click would register as like 15 clicks or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. I understand.
And yeah, it was like basic trial and error like that, and like adding more buttons. So the thing with developmental boards is like uh, certain pins don't work, certain pins have a different value, and you can like learn about it with the pin out diagram. And
Hmm.
even though it's a digital pin, you might be like, oh, it's a digital pin, it should work, but it doesn't.
Okay.
or something. You might connect it to a LED pin that's like mapped to an LED circuit. And like, fun fact, so that's what happened with my board, right? I tried to implement an LED for the underglow and neon lighting type situation. And I
Right.
plug in the LED, and every time I hit a certain note, which was
LED.
connected,
Yeah.
yeah, the LED would turn off and
Turn
turn
off.
back on, which
So
was
I guess there are there different voltages at each pin, so that's why they define like
yeah. A
button.
board has pretty much like a logic, like they say it's like 3 volt logic, 4 volt, I mean 5 volt logic, and things like that. So there are boards that you choose, but essentially when I'm building such a simple project, it's just like 16 buttons, right?
Right.
Uh, yeah, pretty much. So
Yeah.
I don't consult anybody, but yeah,
I guess
go ahead. Go ahead.
internet was your
Yes,
consultant
pretty
was
much.
there.
it
Yeah. Yeah.
was like
So
wow,
yeah.
yeah.
So talking about voltages, so voltage is not that important when it comes to such small designs, right? Because you're working with only
Not
such
really.
small pins, number of pins, I
Yes.
guess.
I mean, it's not even that. It's more like since you're just working with buttons, right?
Yeah.
Now, let's say you're so. Let me just show you a different project that I have here, right? This is a project that I'm working on. It's like a display, and I have this on the test board right now.
Yeah.
And I kind of pulled this pin, which is like the motherboard for that project. And I'll talk to you about it. It's on my Instagram as well. It's this project called TNT, that I'm working on, and it's like super complex. It's like the pro version of this controller. So essentially, what happens is a display or a device. Let's say there's a certain IC that works at a certain voltage, and your board works at a certain voltage. You gotta either step that voltage down
Yeah.
to fit either of the sides.
Yeah. It's
It
like
has to
gain
be the
management.
same logic. Yeah, pretty much,
Yeah.
exactly. And you know, unless that happens, the audio won't even like just like I mean, not the audio, the output won't even
Output.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
display properly, right?
Right.
And for buttons, it's just simple. So if you think about a button, it's such a simple message. It's just on or off. That's it.
Yeah. It's just one pulse of, I guess, current.
Yeah. It's almost like is this current even closing? That's the only
Yeah.
question. So it
Yeah.
doesn't matter
Yeah, right.
what
What is
voltage
the
your board
voltage it is?
runs
Okay,
on.
okay. It's about like there's a circuit is joined or not. It's about on and off. It's like a switch
Yes.
instead of
Yes,
proper
it is a
circuit.
switch. They call it push button slash switch. If you go
Right.
to one of these
Right. Yeah.
places where you buy these things, right?
Yeah.
Like
Right.
AliExpress or whatever. Like
Okay.
yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah. So you were working on a new project. You said you were working on a new project before we broke.
Oh yeah. You're talking about the board that I showed you?
Yeah. Yeah. So this is a little bit more complex. You said like compared to what you worked
Yes.
so far.
So you could kind of pull up my Instagram. So essentially, what I'm gonna do is it's this controller,
Yeah.
but with a display on the side that sends MIDI device. I mean, like MIDI data, and like
Oh.
4 more
All right.
knobs and things like that. So just like a pro version,
Right. Right.
and the display is like an XY MIDI pad, so that I can do up, down, left, right, and you can assign it to like separate parameters.
Oh, you have like a mod wheel kind of thing.
Yeah. It's kind of like an XY MIDI pad. Is essentially what it is, right?
Right. I don't know, like you would cover. It's still like a pad. It's not a. I'm thinking of a
It's a
joystick and it said
touchscreen.
XY. Oh, it's a touch screen. Basically,
Yeah,
yeah, it is a.
yeah.
All
It's
right,
a
understood.
touch screen with like
That's
space
crazy.
where
So
you
basically, you
have.
can modulate crazy shit on that.
Yeah, pretty much. You can assign any value that you want to do it.
Yeah, that's
Put it
great.
into.
So we are recording right now, right?
Yeah.
So I came to came to know about you from a friend called Shahrukh. His artist name is Chutney Rebel. I think you might know him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So he was talking about him buying some gear from you, and he was talking how you're
Yeah.
working on this new project where you have that sensor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's this. I have it actually read by me. So he ordered the exact same
Right.
thing,
Yeah.
and
So what is it basically? Can you explain it?
so it's one CC parameter that you send instead of like turning a knob, right?
Yeah.
You move the lesser the value, and the higher you go, it's higher the value.
So you
That's
basically
it.
keep your
It's a
hand and
MIDI
you're
theremin.
yeah. So basically
It's a
have you
MIDI theremin.
jump the
Yeah,
values
yeah.
through your hand, basically, whatever.
Sequentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sequentially, yeah.
So
You
like,
just remember that, yeah.
so all CC devices, like all CC messages are usually like 0 to 127. Right?
127, right?
So you start at 0, and the more you go, the more higher you go, it's 127.
Right, yeah. So
Yeah.
you can only have one parameter. So can we do like a piano scale on this? Because
Not really.
essentially
So
you can essentially you can assign those values as notes, right? Those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
yes. So there is two things, right?
Mm-hmm.
When it's motion based, it just spits out data. So the main thing is this was designed for a different user who just wanted to control, CC parameters. Just wanted to control filter and cutoff,
Right, got it. Understood.
and volume or something. So
Yeah.
he wanted something like that, and I kind of made one, and I was like, okay. So he initially he was going to buy a theremin, but he makes high-tech music and things like that, and he came to me with an request where he wanted a cheaper theremin type device with high-tech sounds, essentially. So like squinchy type sounds.
But this doesn't produce any sound, right? It's just sending MIDI notes.
This is the MIDI. This is the
basically
MIDI
you have to put a patch in your DAW anyway.
Yeah.
But it'll allow you to control it in that manner.
Yeah, pretty much. And that came from this actually.
Oh, okay. It's like a previous version of it.
No, this is a MIDI theremin.
Okay.
While this is a MIDI. This is a MIDI theremin, right? And this is just a theremin.
Okay.
And you can change between 4 sounds with this button. There's a volume control.
Right.
There's a on-off switch.
Yeah.
The higher you go, the higher the pitch. Lower you go, lower the pitch.
And the output of this will be audio, basically. No.
Yes. It's a synthesizer. It makes its own noise.
Yeah.
It's not a proper piano-based synthesizer.
Yeah.
It's a noise.
There's an oscillator in there.
Yeah. Pretty much.
So, how did you jump from CC controllers and controlling things on a laptop to making essentially sounds? Was this your first project which you worked on, something which made its own sound, like a synthesizer?
No, that was this.
You have everything around you only.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sitting actually in my desk bench right now.
Right. That's
good. It's like everything's around me, so I can just pull it up. So this is the first thing that I made.
So is this it is an oscillator? Is it an oscillator?
Yeah,
just an oscillator.
It's just 2 oscillators with cutoffs and frequency in the middle.
Oh, okay. So both
faster or slower.
Right. So the 2 oscillator knobs are the volume knobs for the oscillators.
Yes.
Crazy. You have any so you have any way of interconnection between the devices which you make? Like, do you let yourself?
Not yet actually. I've been thinking about it, but not yet. Yeah.
Do you have any plans to implement it? Like, what do you think about?
Yes. So
such an idea.
I have 2 ideas, which is kind of like I need some Tesla shit to happen to me, but like I need to be and some engineer type shit. But yeah, I had an idea.
What's the idea?
So my first idea was to implement CC values into the arcade button MIDI controller, and it would look like some Iron Man shit essentially. And hold on, I think I have a spare button. So yeah. It's another button that I have, right?
Right.
So essentially what it does is, so when you choose velocity mode and you want to send note messages, right?
Right.
You see these 2 pins on the side right here?
Yeah.
It's right here and right here.
Yeah.
You can see the move if I press it.
Yeah.
So in a perfect world where, I'm on some Tony Stark type shit.
Yeah.
I would be able to make a servo or something, make this button just, hold on, let me just hold this properly, yeah? But I could just make this button like go in automatically, right?
Uh-huh.
And the minute it goes in, there is a velocity sensitive fabric or a silicone pad that senses velocity. I get one of those sensors that are like in the bottom where it makes connection when the button closes in. So you flip a switch, all the buttons automatically dip in, right?
Right. Yeah.
Like on some cool shit. And and it becomes a flat surface where you can tap for velocity sensitivity, essentially.
Yeah. So basically, you're
So
trying to
the
implement the velocity in the arcade button kind of world.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
that's again as I'm saying that, right? It's like that's a lot of shit that I gotta do for that.
Yeah.
It's not easy
It's
figuring
not
that
easy.
out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like a click button switch. You need to implement a different type of like a layer that like connects that switch, and like you have to custom fabricate a button at that point. You have to make
Yeah.
your own button,
Right.
from the plastic to the switch type
To
to
the
the
code.
device inside. Yeah. Everything.
Yeah.
Have to
So
develop your
you
own thing.
have you come across any other friends or any other people who are kind of interested in the similar? And did you guys like collaborate or something? Try to work together on something? Because I do know a person who came in our college as uh, a lecturer, like a guest lecturer, and he talked about synthesizers. So he made his own modules, but he was like totally into modular synthesis. So he had like a
Yeah.
small. No, that was a different guy. But there was another guy. I forgot his name. He
India
told me.
has a modular scene essentially, right?
Yeah.
There are
There
these
is
things called
some.
synth
Yeah.
farms, like a
Yeah.
meetups and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The animal factory as well. They also do similar kind of stuff. So
yeah,
so the other thing is basically giving out modules and stuff. Yeah. Basically coming back to the idea of having synthesizers and cheap, because looking at stuff, just looking at the price of the stuff you have out there, and then the
yeah.
top tension of getting the thing to your place, and then
Oh
being
yeah.
fragile, and plus you have to worry about so many other things after buying also, like if something goes
Yep.
wrong you have to send it again now because nobody is going to take
Yeah,
that shit over
yeah.
here. Yeah, stuff like that. And on top of that, like I don't know, like the lack of having such a gear, like there's like a void in which there's like a gap of understanding of such gears, because I guess in foreign you could just go to a store and buy, I don't know, like a cheap ass synthesizer,
Yeah,
but I don't know that. Yeah.
you could actually step into these music stores and you can
Yeah.
pick up a guitar and they have a synthesizer section,
Yeah.
and there are stores that have CDJs on display, right?
Right. Yeah.
And when even I started DJing and things like that, it was on virtual DJ. I was just on the mouse, just clicking,
Yeah.
just clicking. Oh my god, bro! Damn, Avicii sounds crazy with this other acapella or some shit.
Right.
It's like
Right. Yeah,
some
we've all
simple shit,
been there.
right?
Yeah, we've all been
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
That's how we start out. Yeah.
Yeah, and I wanted gear for the longest time, right? And I was like, oh shit, I'm good at virtual DJ right now. Uh, this ain't enough. I want to go to Tractor.
Hmm.
So I moved to Tractor. I tried Serato. I went to Tractor because I was mixing more 128 types music. So
Hmm.
I went to Serato and I went to Tractor and things like that. And I wanted to buy hardware again. And
Right.
I was very young by then. I was like
Yeah.
in fifth, sixth standard, something like
Right.
that. I was like, okay, I need to buy gear. I need to buy gear. And yeah, I went to a store in Chennai where they were supposed to have devices on display, which was unheard of during that time, right? Like
Right.
I
Yeah.
never knew there was a DJ store in Chennai, first of
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
And coming to find out, they have an exhibit of just the boxes. They don't have the gear in the store. So
That is
I'm
just
there,
like typical Desi, like,
classic.
yeah.
That
I
one
mean,
uncle who does 7 things. He's a
yeah,
DJ on the weekend, vehicle instructor on the weekdays. I
right,
don't know, bro. You
yeah.
never know what he's doing. He's always scheming on the come up.
You said like you were around sixth, fifth standard when you were into DJing and shit. So
Yeah,
how
yeah.
old are you now? Like it's longer
I'm
back,
22 right now.
22. So long time back, basically.
Yeah, long
It'll be
time
around
back, yeah.
2000
Actually, I'm
something,
23
right?
this year, my bad. Yeah,
Oh,
I'm 23
all
this
right.
year. Fuck.
You're only getting older now.
Yeah. At this point,
Yeah.
it's GG. Can't be the youngest DJ kid out of India anymore. You
Right.
know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah. That is not an option. That's not an option for
People,
us also, I guess.
It's for nobody, bro.
Yeah.
There are kids who are like fucking 2, just came out the womb with headphones on. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
people are.
Yeah.
This new generation just picks up shit like that. You know?
Like that, yeah, man. That's very true. And because I've literally being a part of the upcoming generation, we are. I guess it's like
Yeah.
we are in the part where the generations before us, they were a little bit more of still not catching up to the technology as much as our generations did. But
Pretty
we
much,
are
yeah.
also lacking behind the generation who's coming ahead.
That's exactly. It's
Yeah,
intense, bro.
this just the idea of learning from internet has become just like so common now. Earlier it was
Yep.
like weird thing, like people going on the internet and learning stuff, and anybody would be like, I don't know, it was not normal for people to just go and look up things on the internet. Now it's like, why do I have to remember anything? I could just look up whenever the
Yeah,
fuck I
pretty
want.
much.
You always have internet with you. You don't have to worry about. So you all
Yeah.
at just such a small age, it'll be harder for you to have actually exposure to gears as well. Like I'm assuming, especially in South India. I'm not sure. Like I guess at least
When I was in 6th.
yeah, sixth, fifth standard. So you're around 2000 something, right?
Yeah. So it was super weird. I was looking to import stuff. Obviously, I was asking my cousins who are in the Middle East. I'm asking cousins who
Right.
are,
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
the US. I'm like, can you please buy this for me,
Right.
please?
Yeah.
And I still remember the hottest controller was the Pioneer DDJ or XDJ or some shit. It was like,
Yeah.
it was some dumb
Bomb
shit.
shit. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, okay, fuck it. But I
Yeah.
was really trying to buy it. Guess what happened, right? I pull up to this guy's store, and I
Yeah.
thought he would have a setup where I can go check it out. The
Yeah.
place is called My DJ Equipment in
Uh,
Chennai.
uh-huh.
Ages ago, I think they're still around, but I'm not really sure. But I
Right.
step into the store, and it's just some guy's office, bro. He has a desk. There's nothing around him that would even pertain to a DJ. Like you could have went there and bought a house. You know what I'm saying? It was
Yeah.
that bland and corporate, right? And I'm just there
No,
like,
not
okay,
even
so do you
posters.
nothing. He didn't even have a board and outside his place. I
I-
pulled up and this guy asked me to come to he asked me to pull. So again, I'm a kid. I have my brother with me, and I pulled up. So fucking fucked. I went to a house, yeah, and I'm
yeah.
like, I'm here, but where is your place? Like,
Yeah.
this is a residential colony. Where am I looking
Yeah.
at? And this guy is waving at me
From the
from the top of
balcony.
his house. Yeah, literally at top of his house. It's like, yeah, the steps go through the side.
Right.
And I'm like, bro, am I gonna get molested right now? Like, are we DJing or what? You know what I'm saying? I was just there like, bro, I don't even know this guy. I'm in 6th standard. I have my brother with me, thank God. And my brother is like, he's 10 years older than me. So he's way older and he's like, he looks almost like a parent figure type thing. And like,
Yeah.
we both enter the place and there is no DJ gear anywhere in sight. He only has a laptop and he's asking me questions that he knew that I was a kid and he still wanted to like make me feel dumb, I guess.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, are you like DJing in Serato's time code? I was like, no. And I'm like, I'm on Tractor, and he's like, oh, like which DJ did you choose to go with Tractor for? I was like, I don't know. Who's that other mask guy? Shit, DJ some guy, and I was like, and he was like, oh, that guy used to sell out to time code. I'm like, bro,
What?
are you gonna sell me shit or not? You know what I'm saying? So guess what he said, right? I pull up and they tell me that it costs, they can get it for me essentially. It's not like we do not hold stock, we get it for you. We are like an agency.
Yeah.
Fair enough, yeah. And he shows me the box of a different controller. Like I went in to buy something and he's like, no, this is better because that's what he has.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck it, okay, I'll pick it up.
Yeah.
I go there, this guy is like, so how much does it come? And my brother is sitting next to me and he's like, oh, it costs like 45,000. At that time, it's like huge number,
Huge,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, and just for a controller, like who's
Yeah.
gonna spend
And
45,000?
especially if it's
I
6th
thought,
standard and you're asking.
yeah,
for
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and at that time, people were just looking at me and was like, oh, essentially, it only costs like 25, 30.
Right.
If you buy it somewhere in the States or something.
You remember which controller that was? Some
Not
Pioneer.
really. It was some Pioneer situation, old. It had a
DDJ,
white
something.
base,
Yeah.
and it had a LED ring that goes around in multiple colors.
That is the most attracting,
peak,
right?
peak
Yeah.
RGB, bro. Before RGB, we was rocking it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the pipe dream, the biggest controller at that time that I wanted to buy was the Numark NS7, NS6
Right.
or something like that,
Right,
which
right.
had the turning platters and things like that. I knew I
Yeah.
was too amateur for the like records and turntable type stuff.
Yeah. That is
But I wanted that cool spinny thing happening. And, I was
you're
enamored,
waiting.
bro. I was
Yeah.
enamored. I wanted to look
It's
like the DJ from Boney M videos. So I was like, man, that's me. I was
so.
listening to yeah.
So, what kind of music were you listening to when you were like growing up? When you were like sixth or seventh, when you
Oh yeah.
started getting into DJing? Like, what was the motivation to DJ?
So always music. So DJing, I kind of started like getting into it because hip hop, right?
Right.
My brother's a big hip hop head. He got me in hip hop, and I was like, man, that's it. I was wearing D12 shirts, listening
Right.
to new era hip hop and all that shit. And then I started listening to the classic stuff, where I discovered what sampling was essentially, right?
Yeah. That's
So my father used to play like old records of like Marvin Gaye and all this stuff because he was around places and he used to buy all these records and play these records.
yeah.
I used to hear all this stuff, and I used to find similarities between, like old classic like Biggie stuff, and like like the records that my dad were playing, and I thought people copied one another or something, but then I later realized it was sampling, right?
It's crazy that your dad has records, man. It's not like every dad.
My dad used to be on some other shit. He had some good music, and my grandfather had some really good music too.
All right.
Really, really good, like Nat King Cole and like
Oh.
jazz and things like that. But yeah, I was mostly into jazz before that.
Yeah.
And then I discovered the internet for myself, right? And I get into the whole electro house wave. Like, damn, this shit bang, bro. Understand? Like, damn, Avicii is so cool, right?
Yeah. Right.
Like, ain't it? I was such a convo. I was like, man, let me just. So I kind of get into DJing for hip hop initially,
Right.
then realize it's way above my pay grade essentially because time signatures and all, and I can't DJ. And I was actually mixing house first, and house was like house samples jazz too, right? So it's like jazz is like the mother for like house and hip hop. So it's like both the records
especially for hip hop. I think from hip hop comes like the house culture in Berlin side
definitely.
In the Europe, UK,
Like
UK side, that's how where the hip hop transitions to a little bit of house, I guess.
Yeah. So hip hop, usually like the whole Chicago,
right?
Larry King, or I mean not
Yeah.
Larry King, what am I saying? But like the other cat,
Yeah.
Larry Deep or something. He's the guy who made Deep.
There's this group of musicians from I guess South America or something like they were kind of responsible for the early hip hop movement, sampling and all, like kind of started. Stage, I guess.
Sampling kind of like picked up, and house music was doing a lot of it actually.
Yeah.
And like there were like, so fun fact, right?
Yeah.
There's a song by Rasa, right? I think it's When Will the Day Come?
Right.
And there is a house mix of that song, which I listened to first, right?
Right.
And then I was listening to that for a long time. I was like, damn, this tune, it's sad, like so groovy and all that.
Yeah.
And I used to listen to the original thing. It was like a classic romance song, and he's simping for some girl, but like that's what it is, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just listening to all this stuff, and the next thing you know, I found out that Common's song, there's a song called Take It Easy by Common.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same sample, right? And that is how I kind of got into house and hip hop. And my initial culture was like the way I was going for music. I was listening to a lot of really good music. Right. But then I kind of like started listening to electro house because, it has house in the word. And that's the biggest L I could take. But yeah, I listened to electro house for a while, and that's how I started virtual DJ mixing, right?
But
Just
what,
throwing two
do you
records
think like
together and all that.
there's some, do you think there's some reason why electro house or just EDM in general is very appealing to like the upcoming generation? Because we've all been there, right? And for some reason,
It's
when we're not like exposed to very great music, we would just very
uh-huh.
easily fall into that
I mean,
well
even if
of
you are, it's like how the Baby Shark doo the video thing happened. It's for this
yeah,
generation. You know
yeah,
what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah, yeah,
It's like, oh shit, high energy, high energy. I just drank too much soda. You know what I'm saying? All this sugar, bro. I mean, I'll tell you what,
Seriously, dude.
visuals play such such a key role in what we see and like
Right,
take in,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like you can
yeah.
hear the audio, and that's why music
Yeah.
videos were a thing, right?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I think
I
so.
was
There's a point at
I
which
was looking at the
yeah,
whole EDM situation, and I was
right.
just looking at how the DJs were some like Armin van Buren or some dude was
Yeah.
like just listening, and I was like, thought he's dancing in the front, and I'm just there like, damn, I want to be that dude in
That
six times.
guy,
What do I know about all these thoughts, bro?
right,
I'm
right.
just there like, let me do
Yeah.
my thing.
So it is this dream, this kind of dream which they
Yeah,
give you,
yeah,
like, yeah,
exactly.
this like life will be amazing if
Yeah,
you
yeah.
get in,
It,
like,
it is that is how everybody gets into anything, right? Pretty
yeah,
much.
that is
Like you
yeah,
see,
essentially. But the
like
struggles are like
yeah,
very less highlighted. I mean, there is like what
yo,
there's when performing, just like there's so much stuff right from the industry to your art. Like your
yep,
personal
yep.
struggle, there's like the industry struggle, and then there's like something like a pandemic where you just
Oh
everybody is
wow.
like just it's a big fuck you to everyone. Like who's going to do what now?
That's the thing, right?
Yeah,
So I kind of felt initially when I was in Madurai, I was trying to DJ, right?
right.
Nobody even knew what DJing was here.
Yeah,
Nevertheless, you know what I'm saying? I'm just
yeah.
this one guy who's paying 4,000 rupees for internet in 2007 or some shit.
Oh,
And I'm just this guy talking
shit, dude.
about all this shit, and I'm like, oh, bro, you put two sounds together, you mix it. Oh my god, bro, did you listen to Dead Mouse? And I'm like,
Yeah,
bro, I'm just looking back at myself and like,
yeah,
whoever I was speaking to, right?
yeah.
I would have rather just spoke to, a wall, pretty much. They were just there
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
this
There's a
dude,
relevance to
huh?
talking to like those people. Like
Nothing.
there's no response which will stimulate something within you.
Zero.
It is very kind of stepping stone to motivation, man. Because just imagine if there was kind of seriousness about like the industry of music, the industry culture of music, there'll be so many people who would be, motivated to do better than what they're doing right now in their
Yeah,
life.
yeah, definitely.
And just the idea of, I'm pretty sure you must have got some kind of pushback from your family when you were trying to pursue this career.
Yeah, yeah, pretty
Like,
much. I
even if your
mean,
parents
bro,
are like
easy, yeah.
really, yeah, yeah. So what kind of
Even,
like,
I mean, literally, they were like, "Your waist." So I always wanted to play an instrument when I was a kid, right?
right?
I bought pianos, like they bought this shit for me. Like my brother would buy it from the Middle
Yeah,
East and send it over
yeah,
or whatever,
yeah,
and he would
yeah.
at least bring it with him.
Right.
So I had a student guitar, I had a piano. I should know how to play something,
Yeah, right.
which I don't. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So I was like asking my parents, please take me to piano, like keyboard school. And you guess what they said? Yeah, you can learn that later. Better focus on these ABCs, bro.
yeah.
I'm like
turns out,
mitochondria is the
turns
powerhouse
out,
of the cell, bro. Don't you forget.
turns out you don't even have to remember A, B, C, D in that particular order. Yeah, with the whole life we just like spent our
Exactly.
life
G,
learning this particular order of
G,
alphabets and just don't even it's not even
G,
important.
out the bin. You get what I'm saying? Get in the bin.
Yeah.
That's it. But yeah, so obviously my parents were
Yeah.
like had different things planned for me. They were like,
Right.
"Oh, doctor, engineer," and I just said, "Fuck all to everything." Right?
Yeah.
Uh, I was kind of studying in different schools, multiple schools. I was in and out of India for a while.
Yeah.
I was in the Middle East. I came back. I went to
Right.
the US. I came back. During all this, I could listen to whatever music that I want. I just wasn't allowed to make it. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the
Understand.
parents' thing. It's more like,
Yeah.
oh, you want to go to sports? Okay. And my dad was in the army, right?
Right.
He was in the Air Force, and
Okay.
he did his brief stint in the army, and then he kind of like moved out he was in Raw for a while, research and analytic wing for a while. So he had an exciting life and things like that. But he was very strict. He was like,
Yeah.
education first, right?
Yeah, military man. You don't expect them to
Yo,
be very. It'll be
he
harder
smacked the
for
shit
it'll
out
even
of
be
me, bro.
harder. Yeah.
Smacked the shit out of me. Yeah, yeah.
Especially
Dude, smack
like
the
in
shit.
South. In South, your parents like hitting for them is like.
It's
Even
nothing.
normal
It's
than
nothing.
normal, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
why are you even asking that question if it's normal or not?
You say something, talk shit, gets smacked.
It's like the response rate is between that button and the able to like it's just yeah, you get that smack like right
the
away.
latency,
Yeah,
the latency between me saying dumb shit and getting smacked is lower than the 0.02 milliseconds that my button offers.
Yeah.
It's that fucking on point.
Right.
So yeah, parents were obviously.
Is anyone else in your family related to music or in general? But not generally. I'm
Not
not
really.
talking music anyway, because the sense of when you talk about music in India, people would assume a guy playing a guitar or an instrument generally. Like, but
Yeah, yeah.
in terms of, are there like enthusiasts of music in your family? Like your brother listens to EDM and electronic music or something?
No, not
Or
at all.
it's
He
like completely.
was just straight hip hop, right? And my
Right.
dad was all straight classic Tamil
Classic.
and like Malayalam music.
Right.
And then he plays all these like international records as well, like
Right.
all these proper jazz music,
Right.
like
Right.
you know, like damn Miles Davis, all this like
Yeah.
crazy classic stuff.
Yeah.
And at that time, initially, I didn't really associate with it quick. But the minute when I realized, oh, hip hop takes from this place that what my dad was playing,
Yeah.
so I kind of like got into it right then and there. So I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I gotta listen to everything now. So Boney M and the classic Indian dad who played English music in the 80s and was kind of a hippie, rode like, you know, Kawasaki bikes in the fucking 90s or some shit. I don't know. Most of them are just like, you know, they have a very, very systematic choice of music. Whatever was the popular music in India in the 80s or in the 60s. It was all like Boney M, ABBA, the Bee Gees, you know?
Yeah.
Other classic mainstream stuff from that time.
Yeah. Understand.
And he used to play that as well, and slowly, surely.
So you ever messed with your dad's records? Like ever recorded one of those?
Oh wow!
If anything, you never come across like which you found like really interesting, then you sampled it or something.
Yeah, so there was a record by Mariam Mekpa, which is like an African soul record, and it was the song called. What was it called? I don't know what the name was. I don't know if it was called Brother. Oh,
Okay.
Quit It Now. Yeah.
Quit It Now.
So it was about the drug pandemic in Africa. And I think it was not even Africa, it was more like a drug pandemic song, might have been regarding to the US thing as well.
Okay.
But it was, Why Don't You Quit It Now? That's the hook of the song. But the first bar is on some crazy psychedelic type shit, which I kind of like bumped and vibed to when I don't even know what psychedelics it was, right, when I was young.
Yeah.
But I was like, man, this shit sound groovy, bro. Far out, bro. Trippy, bro. Man, I don't even want to say that word no more, bro. People have ate that word up. They just say trippy for anything and everything.
Yeah, that is like for so much. Even for psychedelics, the word psychedelics is like completely changed now. I don't know. I've heard those words that we have heard in so many phrases, which doesn't even consider that psychedelics is something which you feel. It's something which you go through. It is a breakthrough. It's not.
It used to be 79 Woodstock. Now it's just kids doing ketamine. Like
yeah, dude. I mean,
pretty much.
These kids, dude. I mean, like seriously, like ketamine. That story. I've heard few stories of college kids just destroying their lives, man. Behind this, I mean, there's a lot of shit to do, and the number of people in the world are increasing like crazy. The odds of you getting successful or just like even being sustained in a way where you are not forced to do stuff you don't like. For example, like you are not forced to go work in some bank or something. Now you can make yours and sell. And we can make music. I can record podcasts and earn my shit. You can do that stuff. We are in a stage where we have to move quickly. We can't waste any more time, man.
Yeah,
I've heard like a lot of elders come to me and like, bro, you're just 20, bro. You have like buttloads of time with you, bro.
bro,
No.
I could die tomorrow, and so
Yeah.
could you. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
dude.
Elders, you better shut the fuck up because
Yeah.
they don't know. I mean, like I know the wisdom and things like that.
Yeah, there's
Definitely
definitely
old people.
experience, yeah, because they have
Yeah,
lived
yeah.
on this planet. But then
Yes,
there's
longer.
different
Different
aspects to
time
think. Yeah,
zones.
yeah. There's different
Yeah, it's just yeah.
yeah, it's just situations are different. You're not familiar to
Yeah,
this kind
bro.
of
Yeah,
situation. You cannot comment on like similar
bro.
things.
Literally, right? They used to say, like my dad used to tell me shit like, if we didn't have electricity in Trichy in like 50s or something.
Right.
So when I was in
Yeah.
third grade, I had to sit under the lamp and study. And my dad really was on that come up type
Yeah.
situation, right? He was in a
Yeah.
village.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand.
He,
Yeah.
he kind of
Yeah.
like went through the
Yeah.
struggles. He was a hustler back then.
Yeah. Yeah.
He used to like buy candy and sell it in the schools way back then, right?
Yeah.
He used to do all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then he used to like set up petty shops outside. He used to go to the store, buy in bulk, sell it out
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
kids. He used to do his own thing.
Yeah.
Super smart.
Yeah.
He's really good with math and things like that. He's won multiple awards. And
Yeah, it's got to be
he was
crazy if
actually-
he's in the military, man. Like those
Bro,
dudes that
and-
go through shit, like some weird shit there.
And I'm here, dropped out of college twice and just passed mathematics in 12th. You know what I'm saying? Fucking top shelf disgrace.
You just crashed your expectations from the parents. But that's perfectly all. That's how some new aspect of a person begins. That's how I believe. You have to go through some shit to be something.
Yep.
You know? Otherwise,
Yeah, exactly.
you cannot. You just cannot. That's how things are happening around here. So I have this last question for you.
Yeah.
You've been working on making your own stuff for a while now. So you have any plans to put your make an inventory of gears and then start selling?
That's happening
for the market or something.
Yeah. So right now it's all on Instagram. I'm already doing that.
Right.
The only device that was not on the market was the MIDI controller that I make, the classic 16-button arcade button controller.
Yeah.
Other than that, I had all the synths for sale, all the other stuff for sale. Everything's been there, and I have another synth called the Logic, which is like an arpeggiator synth. That's been moving for a while.
For what you said? For Logic?
Yeah, I mean, I have a synth called the Logic.
Called Logic. Okay.
Yeah,
that's
it's
what
like
I
an
didn't.
arpeggiator type synth.
Right. Okay. I need to check out, man, because I also need some gear. So, what kind of price range do you like generally keep your stuff around? Like?
So the little boy, right? This little thing.
Yeah.
This starts at 2,800.
2,800. Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. It's an oscillator you're getting at 2,800.
It's more like a grain frequency type thing situation. It's like a grain delay. It's based on the ticketed code, which is like a very popular code that has went through a lot of iterations, and people literally develop the code already, right?
Yeah. Open source codes, like
open source code. Yeah. So I kind of picked that code up and I tweaked it and circuit bent the hardware a little bit so that I can get other things going on. It used to be just like a granular synthesis. Yeah, it is based on the granular synthesis type situation.
Yeah.
And later as time goes on, I figured out other stuff like other kind of saw wave type situations and adding notes to it. So slow but sure, just playing around with it.
That's crazy. That's a very reasonable price for a controller or synthesizer. Not too much synthesizer. Controller is still fine. Synthesizer is a big deal, dude. So I wanted to ask you. So you're currently doing like a very small scale business of whatever you're doing. So you all the work of production or manufacturing rather is done by you. The whole process is done by you.
Single-handedly. Yeah.
Do you have a company registered or something, or are you just doing it
Nothing
like
that.
friend
It's
to
all
friend?
it's a friend to friend thing. It's more like a bespoke. I did get offers for investors and I did get offers for multiple other things where like, oh, we can scale this up or
Yeah.
whatever.
That's what I wanted to.
Uh,
That's what I'm heading towards. Because do you have plans to scale this up, or what is your
yeah, not
major
really
goal?
as
Like,
of
what is your
now. I
goal?
just wanted, so the goal would be, cashing out in the end somehow, I guess. But it will be something like, figuring it out, having a solid brand and do a
Right.
Beats deal with Apple or something like that. You
Right.
get what
Right.
I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
something, like
Yeah.
Ableton or somebody buys some proprietary code. Because a couple of the codes is open source that I tweak, but
Yeah.
all my other code is all proprietary. So it's
Right.
like we wrote the code from the scratch, made it all. Sometimes I think one of my codes is open source already, but people have to go find it. So
Right. Right. So
that's
where
the
do you
thing.
post your code? Like GitHub, mostly.
Yeah, GitHub. Yeah, it's up on GitHub, but
This
in
this
different repositories.
the I think like right now nobody's it's underestimated the importance of just learning coding, like just learning a language
Definitely,
of computer, like a computer language, because computers are the future. If you just can't speak their language, then you're like
pretty
worthless to
much
them.
you're outdated. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. and
Hopefully,
and
Neuralink
talking
makes
talking
something.
about music just in general, like music and coding is kind of very close to each other, because technology goes hand in hand with
Yeah,
music. Now
definitely.
technology is in the forefront of discovering new music. Earlier also it
Yeah,
was technology only, because you didn't have electric guitars till someone discovered a pickup. You didn't have
pretty much.
amps till someone blew up a fucking driver or whatever. The
Yes,
stories
yes,
are
yes.
basically technology opening up a
Final
different
error.
domain for music
Yeah.
or art in general, right? Because even digital, talking about art, like it's just, it goes for everything, I guess, from sculpting to now, instead of sculpting on stones, you're making models in cinema 4D.
Yeah, yeah,
Instead of painting on canvas, you're doing digital art on cold raw. Or
yeah,
music,
yeah.
you're instead of playing a
You
piano,
just
you're
moved.
going, yeah, you just moved the
You just like
game is
shifted
changed.
into. Yep, the
Yeah.
game is changed.
Yeah.
Definitely. So
So
coding.
coding is very important to learn. So I'll give an example where even as a musician, I thought like you can, when I found out that you can make your own plugins inside Ableton, I was like, what?
Yeah,
I mean,
Max
that
for
is
life.
just awesome. Like, yeah, you
Yep.
can. So basically, Maxwell, when you add Maxwell Live to Ableton, is basically like a modular synthesizer. You can
Yeah.
just
At
plug in
that
whatever
point,
the fuck you want, wherever the fuck you
it's
want.
open.
Yeah.
You do your own thing.
Just these
That
four
is
plugins
nothing
which you get
else.
from Ableton. I guess
Uh-huh.
they're like LFO, and then there's envelope,
Oh
and then
yes,
there's no delay, and
the
just
CV.
yeah, there's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
simple plugins, but it just opens up such a wide range of functionality, right? Just for sound design. Talking about sound design, what are your takes on sound design? You definitely use sampling? You
A
mentioned earlier.
lot.
Yeah. What about
Yeah, and
just good old fashioned sound design through oscillators? What do you think? Well, what is your take on that? How do you go about making sounds? Do you like making sounds, or you just skip to presets or whatever? What is your thing?
so I personally do skip the presets, and most of the time, it's like I figure out certain sounds, and I'm usually more like I take the patches and kind of flip it until I like, tweak it until I want it to
Right.
sound the right way. So it's like you can't skip out sound design altogether,
Yeah.
but you gotta know the basics of it, how sound design works, what a certain knob does.
So
I
basically, you
think
jump to the sound you're kind of looking for, and then shape it closer to what you want.
yes, pretty much.
You're saying,
I do tweak sounds on like I sound design samples if that makes any sense, right? I don't lift samples exactly. It's
right.
more like I chop it, I put like different effects on it, reverse it,
Yeah.
almost chop it and play it in such a different way. It's like so processed and it comes into something else that it wouldn't even make sense anywhere outside of whatever piece that I'm doing it in.
Right.
Changes so much and moved so much, and it started as like I don't know, like a kid coughing or something, and it ends up being like a bass line for some song.
Yeah.
it just
Yeah, I've seen
it
those
just
videos.
ends up.
Like, especially when it comes to Ableton, you can do this kind of stuff like insane. Like, you can
Oh
go
yeah,
to
some
take it next
wizardry.
level only. Yeah. Just the simpler
Yeah,
ability to, just take a sound and change it into an oscillation. That is basically an
Yes.
oscillator. Like you're oscillating a wave from a sample, and that just has its own texture, right? This is awesome.
Yep.
You can make kicks and
Ableton is
basses and
just
everything.
straight up. Ableton is just straight up for people that don't know DAWs, right?
Yeah.
It's wizardry. It's straight up wizardry. Like, how did you
Yeah.
do this? How did you do that? I've seen like people who are instrumentalists. They just know how to play the guitar or the violin or whatever, right? And they just look at me playing around with Ableton. It's probably, they played a whole piece for me, right? And we're jamming. They played a whole piece. I played the drums or whatever, and it's like a small sliver or like a small pluck that he didn't mean to happen, which I'll pick that like the whole thing that he played for me is disregarded. Just that one, take that, put in the tuner, detune it, make it the correct key.
You can make an instrument out of just something which the artist probably didn't even want you to.
Exactly.
It's happened. Even when I collaborate with musicians, that's a thing that happens with me a lot, that I mostly disregard their whatever they thought like this was like the John Petrucci part where I fucking I'll most probably discard it. I'll take some shit which you don't like, and I'll take maybe because I guess maybe there's like we see a potential in things like when someone sees it as a mistake.
We have an ear for it.
Potential to change into a better sound. That's what sound design is about. You take something shitty and make fucking great. So there's this exercise which I generally do is like look at. I'm into game sound a little bit, so I'm
into games a lot.
I
play a bunch of games. Even Shahrukh, I think.
Yeah, Shahrukh is he's a game tester only. Like he's working. He's
Ubisoft.
So
he hooked me up with his. Hook me up with this Uplay profile or something, I guess.
Oh, that's crazy. I've been asking him for a while now. I'm like, dude, I need those samples, man. There's like buttloads of stuff, right?
Yeah. It's crazy, bro. It's some really good games that I revisited, pretty much. That was like Far Cry 2 and like Assassin's Creed Black Flag or whatever.
I've recently got a good machine, man. I want to run those games, but I don't want to run the crack. Cracks are just weird. Like for some reason, I feel that even if you have the best computer, if you're running a crack game on it, it's going to stutter. Frame drops will be there.
So that just depends on the version that you get the crack, right?
Yeah. It's like an early version, not updated. And everything.
Yeah, let's say you get a day one crack, or like not even day one cracks are pretty much non-existent nowadays for like AAA titles. But usually when you let's say you get like within the first 2 months or 3 months.
But there are games which are cracked in day one, dude. Like recently, Microsoft released a game called Flight Sim. Yeah, it was cracked in the day. First day is gone, bro.
Bro.
I mean, that is a weird shit for the companies. They have literally worked, I guess, around 12 years on this game, dude.
But they know the actual user.
Get in the bin.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. So Yash is saying like they know who uses their games, and they know and they let them use it because they know down the line they're going to buy it because their shit is bomb. Like that is the idea behind it.
Yeah.
Even Ableton does that, I've heard. Like they just let people use their cracks and not do much about it. And then because they
FL is notorious on the other side. They don't want people to do it.
Could be, I don't know. But FL sucks anyway. I just don't like FL. I don't know. I don't wanna like.
That's it. You started the war, bro. You opened the can. That's it. When this goes public, I'm gonna people. How dare you?
Dude, we did a podcast with Aroma. We did it with Aroma almost for our first podcast, and like around 40 minutes of it, I think, was just Ableton versus FL. So he's an FL user, and I was just not just able to, because I started from FL, and I knew like what is exactly wrong with FL Studio, because when I jumped to Ableton, those problems were addressed right away. Like, I just lost you there. Could you repeat?
Oh, I was saying, same thing happened with me as well.
Or you also started using it.
I got into FL and I made some dumb music, and I was like, what is this mixer system? Why is it so retarded? Like, what's going on?
Just the way you mix in FL Studio, the way you make automation clips and everything, it's just like not not optimized enough. They're not thought.
Yes, exactly.
You didn't think
through well.
Yeah, it's
And
like
the
you
whole
make an
pattern
automation
system.
clip. Yeah, you can make multiple automation clips of the same parameter. I mean, why would you even do that? Why would you or how could you even do that? Like, you can't have like, it will be like quantum entanglement. You're making a copy of it, sending it to another dimension, and then making an automation. What are you doing, like, when you're adding it?
Yeah, just do it right there, bro.
Yeah, just like how Ableton has like a completely different setup only for like automation.
Yeah,
Switch to automation
the
mode.
session view.
Awesome.
The minute I jumped into session view in Ableton, my whole production game changed.
Yeah, it's so true.
It was like I ain't gonna like route this sample into this thing into 17 other settings before I can play a drop. No, I just drop samples in.
You just you once you go, you just don't have to stop. Even if you're exploring samples, you don't have to stop your rhythm, right?
Yeah,
you just keep going and keep going through samples and whatever. It's just
the auditioning system in the Ableton is crazy, especially the browser view and how you go through samples and just listening to him.
Yeah.
You know, it's so intuitive. It's like Apple versus Android in a weird way.
Yeah, bro.
You know?
That
like
similar
Ableton's
analogy.
on that Apple wave.
Shahrukh gave us that same analogy when we were discussing the same stuff. Yeah. This topic we generally discuss to all the musicians because generally it is said that the DAW doesn't matter when it comes. It's perfectly true. I would say that if you get one DAW another like compared to another one, you will suddenly become like fucking great or something.
No,
nothing like that.
Just because Skrillex uses Ableton, you can't expect.
But you could optimize this if you're doing work on your DAW. Then you can optimize the way you do your work, like the time you do that same work in one DAW versus another. You can do such comparisons. Anyway, it was just
workflow.
Yeah, it's workflow. That's what it is because if you are even like familiar with FL Studio like very much, then you could probably race an Ableton guy in a certain particular function, right? Because you're so good at it that you cannot beat them easily. I mean, go ahead. My bad. I was just going to say like no. I was just going to say like this idea of having one DAW as your tool is so weird because in the industry it's constantly jumping between different DAWs because each DAW is doing one thing perfectly. But hands down, Ableton is doing like most of the stuff which a DAW needs to do, like in a very cool fashion. It gets it right perfectly. Yeah.
And like I have a friend who's like an FL guy, and he's like a wizard in FL, right? So I see him doing things in FL, and I'm like, again, the whole DAW doesn't matter conversation pops up, and he's like,
he's doing some crazy shit.
He does some. I know people who are like crazy with Ableton, and I know people who are crazy with FL, and I know both of those guys dipped on the other side. They slept with the enemy, and know that for a fact, right? They be on that shit.
So it's like sneaky shit, right?
Yeah, the more you talk to them, they'll open up. Yeah, bro. So about like 6 years ago, I did kind of check out FL. I'm like, how could you? You're the chosen one. And the same goes for these guys, right? People who are like on FL. It's like, bro, I tried out Ableton too, bro. It was like for a week. Then I know guys who are like the freaks and geeks in the sense they are on like 2 different DAWs running Rewire inside Ableton.
Ooh, that is crazy shit, man. I just cannot go to Rewire. Rewire is just too complex, and why you even like you need.
What's the point?
Yeah, you can have all the third-party plugins like do all kinds of weird shit like with that. Like you can have FL Studio plugins inside Ableton. Like what more do you want?
Pretty much.
If the plugins is what you're close to.
Yeah,
anyway.
I do that, right? Like I run Sakura, I run the Hammer.
I love those FL Studio, some FL Studio plugins. Grossbeat is one of the craziest plugins I have ever seen.
Yes.
You can just have like quick kits and quick pitch bends like the frequency.
For the longest, when I wanted a tape stop effect, I would go to Grossbeat.
Yeah. So there's a I guess FL Studio plugin which will give you a tape stop. It's called DB tape stop, I guess. I found out about the plugin from Martin Garrix's tutorial.
Damn,
Shout out to him.
Shout out to Garrix. Where's my check?
I guess which song it would be.
Bro, don't tell me it was Animals.
it was that. You remember that?
Cut the call right now. Cut the call right now.
You get it. Dude,
Bro,
that was the phase, right? I think dudes my age have like a lot of them have just come from that phase. And Martin Garrix is one of those guys who make you feel like your age is something it's not, which will not
does
pull
not
you back.
matter.
Yeah, because it is doable. Like you can see
Yeah.
a example
I
for it.
mean,
So
people got into music like that, right? Like
yeah,
in that way, I kind of see what Martin Garrix did, but like I never like I was post whatever Martin Garrix was doing when he came
yeah,
out and Animals blew up or whatever, right?
yeah, yeah,
I was over that type of music. I told you, right? The whole
right,
electro house
right,
and
yeah,
progressive house,
yeah.
bro. Who who gave these guys progressive house, bro? Who?
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Why?
like the
I
evolution of music is like it is all coming from when you talk about just music in general, it is coming from all over the world, but the whole
yeah.
music which is popular in the world is like from Africa, bro. Like the grooves which are popular today, like the
Yeah,
hip hop grooves,
yeah.
the house beats and all those, like most of, because when you just walk in like a tribal area in Africa, they are like uh, there are like so much variation, diversion between just music and between tribes itself, and it's between grooves and like they just walk in music, bro. You can say that like the people
So
over there are like completely in the music zone, you know?
yeah,
Especially with
like
grooves.
the tribe. Yeah, I would highly suggest you check out this guy called Suraj out of Kenya.
Suraj,
Yeah,
Kenya,
and he has Suraj Kenya. He has some crazy music, and then I used to listen to like African tunes and everything.
right?
But the truth is, right? South Indian, North Indian, the old stuff, like people when they
Yeah,
died,
that
the
is
music that they
yeah,
play,
right.
very rooted, very
Yeah,
very rooted. Like you listen to
yeah,
that shit, and your head
yeah,
automatically bangs. Somebody
yeah,
just died. You get what I'm saying?
yeah,
But you're doing this. You're doing
yeah.
this.
That catches you. It catches you. Yeah,
Yeah, it's very rooted, and
right,
especially when you're standing there, the way those instruments vibrate,
right.
and you're just there, just feeling everything.
Yeah,
And people are crying in the background, people are drunk in the front dancing, and
yeah,
you're not even intoxicated like that, but you're
yeah,
either gonna
dude.
cry or you're gonna dance.
Talk about music giving you like substance kind of feeling, like substance involved feeling, like
Yeah,
generally I have felt.
Indian,
And yeah,
yeah.
you were saying.
Indian music, compared to trap, I would say it's more influenced by the whole 3-6 Mafia, the underground scene right now, right? The whole
Right, right,
Atlanta, not even
right.
Atlanta. Atlanta kind of like made the whole trap music, the whole
Yeah,
offset Metro Boomin type sound, right?
right.
On the other hand, that thing actually happened already. Like today's trap music blueprint
Yeah,
literally existed in the 90s and 80s.
yeah,
And guys were making experimental music in southern Memphis,
yeah.
in Texas, Tennessee. They were doing some crazy shit. So
Crazy
my
shit.
brother used to play me like 3-6 Mafia, and we used to bump that shit in my car, and it was like profanity all that way, right? Like fuck
Yeah.
this, we do this and all that. I'm like, man, I'm gangster. I got the snapback, bro. I got the dirty South jersey. Was good. So
Yeah,
we chilling, and I kind of listen to those music, and I realize 76, 97, all these times they made this music, right? Like they
right.
already made lo-fi in an aesthetic, like way before it was a thing,
Yeah,
because they weren't going for lo-fi. They wanted the highest quality recording, but they didn't have money to afford like really good
right,
equipment.
right.
They made that shit, and that is the blueprint of today, like 808s and all these sounds, right? I'm kind of going back to the roots right now. My music style, I have I have a separate 80s which I'm working on in a sense. It's PS666, and it's going back to that whole murder aesthetic and like murder
Yeah,
rap and things like that.
right,
It's like
right.
sampling spooky horror movies and things like that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I have a couple of beats on my private SoundCloud right now, but it's Billy Sunium 666. That's the profile if anybody wants to check it out. That
Hey,
just
did you note
means
that?
Yeah.
All right, we're
it's
checking
it's
that.
just it's all horror wave, bro. It's people screaming and crying and shit, and people just gunshots everywhere. I'm into that whole gangster wave back again at
All
it,
right.
back at it. Everybody's on that R&B smooth chill shit today, but like I want to go back. You get what
Yeah.
I'm saying? I want to go all the way back. Take me back.
So
But
what do
like
you
yeah,
think? So what do you think about the hip hop scene in India,
I'll be honest, bro.
especially the north and middle part of like a, like the Mumbai and Gujarat area, not the
I would say
south.
some controversial shit. Yeah, I'll say some.
Yeah,
I know. I'll even talk for the whole country, right? At this
yeah,
point, I'll talk about it, not for, but like,
yeah.
yeah, it's corny, bro. They made it corny as fuck. And as a person who's been bumping this shit for real, I mean, don't get me wrong. There are some
Right.
sick artists who are doing their own thing,
Own thing.
and it's so them, right?
Right.
This is a problem with Indian hip hop, right? They're rapping about not completing engineering in Marathi on like a Biggie beat. Doesn't make sense. You know what I'm saying? What's the point? You know what I'm saying? Bro, Biggie was rapping about selling drugs in the 90s because his mom kicked him out and he had nowhere else to go but the streets.
Right.
Your privileged ass not completing engineering does not relate to this beat. This beat too hard for your soft ass problems, bro.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? That's one thing. And Gully Boy, fucking bro. I fuck with the guy who made the story who Gully Boy was based on, right?
Right.
I fuck with that. What is his name? Divine, right?
Yeah, Divine. He's from Mumbai, or?
Yeah.
He's not from
I
Mumbai, I
think
think
so.
so.
He's from Mumbai.
No, but he's not from the where he showed in the movie, like something like that.
Oh
Yeah,
shit,
he's
that was
not-
some supposed shit.
Yeah, he's literally not
Bro.
like someone who grew up in
You
slum.
saw that?
I saw a
Bro.
video.
Movie.
I didn't see the movie. I don't
I'll
think
tell
I'll
you
ever
what.
see the movie, man.
Yeah, me neither, right? I kind of saw how they portrayed the whole thing. I saw clips of the movie, right?
Yeah.
And people are talking about how Gully Boy is like the 8 Mile of
Yeah.
today, right?
Yeah.
Everybody is on
I
that.
mean,
Bro, it's
who-
literally 8 Mile. It's Desi 8 Mile, bro.
Yeah,
Struggle.
Yeah, you could.
Instead of white kid, it's the streets.
Yeah.
The
It's
only
the
thing that they
slums.
didn't do, yeah, it's the slums, bro. Listen, I used to bump old school East Side music, right? I used to dress up like Biggie when I was in like UKG, LKG. That was my idol. Like I bumped hip hop before hip hop was even a thing.
UKG,
right? Like
LKG,
before,
that is like a hyperbole.
bro, I used to have a plastic gun on my hand.
All right.
And I used to bump.
So you serious?
I used to.
You're not
I
kidding
was-
right now.
Bro, I had the face turtleneck, right? And
All right.
baggy
Oh.
pants necessarily, right?
Right.
I used to wear Timberland boots and I used to do this pose. I used to look people at like, I was a fucking kid. And this is how I look. It was good, man.
Stop,
Bad boy
man.
entertainment. Bad boy for life. Bro.
Yeah, you were
Rap
in
music. Yeah, rap music took my whole life. That's literally my base.
there. Yeah.
Hip hop, especially East Side, West Coast hip hop, East Coast hip hop. South, I kind of like bumped into later, and kind of this year, one of my friends put me back on it.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of showed me the route that I really didn't see on the South, bro. So let me tell you about how important South Side music is, right? Like
Okay.
South US music. So the
Right.
Texas,
Yeah.
Tennessee,
Yeah,
and all these
yeah,
places.
Yeah.
Anybody who's in the scene right now, who's like culturally in the hip hop scene right now, they were pretty much like Yo Gotti. A lot of people, Yo Gotti is the only guy that's coming up into my head right now. Lil Yo, that was his old persona, and he was 16 when he made a mixtape, and it's so iconic when you listen to it today. The sounds are so similar, the way the music is processed, right?
Mm-hmm.
All this shit came out of the South. It's literally like how there's Southside music in India right now. That's the
Yeah.
whole Southside, Tamil, Malayalam, all
Yeah.
this stuff. And then you have the North side, which is Hindi, Marathi, and all this stuff.
Yeah.
You know how
I'm sorry. Just
People
lost you
just
there.
look-
Just lost you there. The
yeah,
last
yeah.
one.
So I was saying, you know how these Bhojpuri tunes are, the fucking
Yeah.
meme music.
Yeah.
That is how Southside music literally looked like initially, which
Right.
as the years went on,
Right.
became. I'm not gonna say Bhojpuri is gonna be the next hot thing or nothing like that, but
Actually,
I'm
you know
just
what?
saying.
Yeah. Since you gave this analogy, Bhojpuri
Yeah.
is actually going through something of a evolution itself, you know, because I saw an article which talked about
Oh,
these
wow.
producers and guys who are fucking it up the Bhojpuri by using auto tune and stuff. Like there are people who are in this Bhojpuri scene who hate the new kind of music, Bhojpuri music, the auto tune kind of the shitty stuff. But there's some actually good Bhojpuri music too. I've not heard it, but I can certainly believe that.
I'm talking about the Spider-Man music, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Spider-Man in Bhojpuri
Yeah, dude. That is
remix.
that is the fuck. That is fuck. That is a real fucked up shit, bro. I
Yeah,
don't know
yeah.
who even comes up with that shit, man. Whoever thought. I don't know. Like
They
the
want
situation will be completely different only there. Yeah.
I heard a
more audience.
story of a friend of mine, right? So
Right.
I heard a story of a friend, right?
Right.
I know him, I've spoken to him on the phone, but like my friend was telling me how his friend, he was going to the studio one day and there was Spider-Man Bhojpuri music blasting out, and this guy who was his friend just zoned out looking at the ceiling, drunk as fuck. I'm not ironically just listening to that tune like
Yeah.
fuck. He was
Dude.
just tripping
Yeah.
on Bhojpuri tunes, bro. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm saying what I'm trying to say is people look down on certain things, right? Right
Yeah.
now, hip hop is like a trend hoppy thing right now.
Yeah.
There is no originality, I feel like.
Right.
There's no. So this is the thing that me and my friends talk about a lot. So there's a graffiti writer called Epoch, who's like a really close friend of mine, and
Right.
we talk about this a lot. It's like you can take inspiration, right?
Yeah.
Not make it your own. If you don't make it your own, you just become a replicator. You just become
You're just becoming.
yeah, like
Who's that one?
Sway in
Who's
the
that famous Bollywood guy who keeps copying this Hollywood tunes?
bro. I don't even know, bro.
Pritam. Yeah. You're talking about like something of that. You take something.
I'm talking about the hip hop scene right now.
You are inspired from it. But
Yeah,
if you don't make it your own, then then you can't actually say that you are inspired. You're just copying that
yeah,
shit.
bro. So it's exactly like this, right? Just because Sway in the morning, yeah, I'm seeing a time limit or something popping up, but yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, just because Sway in the morning, has a 5 fingers of death challenge or something, and it's like rappers freestyling on 5 beats, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't mean in your local hip hop meet you gotta play the same shit, you got the same triplet flow on Tamil or Hindi, and you got the same. You're just replicating it, and you translated something, right?
It's like it's between
yours.
it's like you making a dub of a movie versus
Yeah,
you
pretty
remaking
much.
a movie.
Pretty much.
Just to make, if you have to remake a movie, you have to put in a lot of work. You have to break it down and then create it from scratch. Whereas you want to dub it, you just need those lines translated and a guy who can speak nicely in a particular language. Yeah, that's the analogy. So so I think it is very good thing for people to understand the difference between getting inspired and
I definitely
copying.
I mean, you gotta copy. I mean, in the sense,
you
first initial couple times you do things, right?
I don't think there's something in this universe is like most of it is done, dude. Like in music in general, like most of it is discovered. You can't go ahead and make
creation, bro.
Yeah, you can't just come up with some huge musical gap. Yeah. There's no gap in music left. It's already covered. So you have to basically copy shit, but you have the opportunity to just like make it yours basically by putting your feelings into whatever.
You, bro.
Yeah.
So this is the thing, right? This is the thing with DJing that I realized in India, right? You are replaceable as an Indian DJ. That just happens.
Yeah. Right.
There's somebody else to do your same thing for 2,000 rupees and he doesn't give a fuck. And he'll play whatever the other guy wants. And that's why I had a hard time getting a gig, because I was like, look, I'll play to the crowd. Doesn't matter what.
Yeah, that is the point.
That's it. That's all I'm gonna do.
Right.
And people didn't want to fuck with me because, I appreciate, bro. I knew a guy where I went for an interview type situation for a DJ gig, which is fine. I'll go for an audition.
Okay. It's like a residential thing.
Yeah, it was an audition pretty much.
Right.
Yeah, residential type situation for a club in Bangalore. I go up and this guy tells me, I appreciate all the rounds you have done. I have details like all the clubs that I've played, right? I have references in each country. I have a reference manager who played, who can vouch for me from Paris, from Ibiza. There's a guy when I played in Thailand. There's one guy over there. There's a guy from the US. There's like 7 different clubs in the US I can jot down. All these you can call these numbers and be like, hey, what do you think about Rohith? And did he play here or whatever? And you ask for it. This guy literally says, I appreciate the rounds that you have done, but in Bangalore you are still at ground zero. Like, oh, you're telling me just because I traveled like 20 fucking thousand miles or whatever the fuck, if I just because I came here I forgot how to DJ, is that what you're telling me? He's like, no, the sound selections. Bro, you could literally give me a pen drive of what you want, and that's what you're doing with all the. So essentially, I understand the monopoly here, bro. It's
Yeah.
more like people go to a DJ school, you study there, and they give you placement, and it's the whole thing. And that's how they have sorted this whole situation
Yeah.
out. And so
That's
sucky.
true. That's very true.
Yeah, and fuck these guys.
Talk
bro.
about
That's
just
what I'm gonna say.
talk about just the venues you play in. Like there are venues where fucking IT crowd is sitting and just chatting, not even paying
Yep.
attention to what the fuck is happening around. Music is like
Yep.
a third. Like food is there before that, drinks and food, then music probably. So yeah, the scene is like fuck, bro.
Not
Like
a
talk about just the listeners. There are no like proper listeners in our country, bro. There are listeners who are like into the scene, but there are there a number of those people are just busy trying to just make their life sorted, dude. Like I
Yeah.
guess
I feel like people who are in a venue trying to listen to music, right?
right.
Just because you're locked into the top hundreds or like whatever the popular song is, Bollywood Nights by
Yeah.
DJ Bablu or somebody, right?
Yeah.
Oh no. Bro, some guy literally asked me, did you know DJ Bablu in Mumbai? I was like,
Like woo.
he's like, who? I should have just told him some shit like, do you know DJ Big Fat Real Gangster? And when he says who, it should have been like me, man, me. What you said? It's like some shit. But the real thing is people just, so this is the thing, right? I feel this way as well. It's like as an artist, as a DJ, right? The first job is to get your audience's ear any way possible. And it's like stand-up comedy. You go on stage and you might bomb
Yeah.
and you might totally lose your whole point about like how
Right.
you're gonna do this and
Hmm.
how you're gonna like get up or like
Yeah.
get up with it. On the other side, you need to have music that's just rooted, bro. You see
Yeah.
that analogy that I made it
Right,
earlier.
yeah,
South
yeah.
Indian tribal music, when you
Yeah.
hear it, your head shakes, no matter where you're at, no
Yeah.
matter what the circumstances.
Right.
If the records that you pick, if you pick
Yeah.
like 40 records a night, if
Yeah.
you can't make something happen between those 40 records,
Yeah.
you're in the wrong profession.
Yeah,
Doesn't mean-
I had this wonderful quote. It said that
You know?
a DJ is not a DJ doesn't play the music for what which the crowd wants to listen. He plays the kind of music the crowd didn't know they wanted to listen.
Yes.
Like stuff they
It's
never
on
knew
some Apple
existed.
Steve Jobs type shit.
Yeah.
You know, Steve Jobs had a very similar quote, right?
Yeah.
Jobs had a quote where he
Probably
said,
a rehash version of him. I don't know.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, someone on Instagram
you know?
posted. Yeah.
There was Jobs quoted something like, "People don't know what they want until you show them.
Until you show them, yeah.
You gotta tell them what they want." Essentially.
Yeah. Unfortunately, his passion died with him because Apple is going down a bad road, bro. It's not looking good for Apple.
I mean, the iPhone 11 is
Yeah.
kind of 12 is again looking shit, but I kind of bought the 11 and I'm happy with it in the sense.
11 is still better. Like it's a good phone.
Way,
It's not
way,
a-
way.
Yeah,
It's way better.
Yeah, it's. I mean, they had it till iPhone 8 came along, and then things started looking a little bit shaky. Then the 11 came; it was still stable, but the phones are just too fucking expensive, and the market is just doing way much better. Like the Android phones, they're just coming out with phones every year, and they're just beating the price of the last year with better gear, like better stuff inside. And Apple, like they can just make that excuse of the ecosystem and the OS and then all that shit, and then they can get around that.
I'm a represent Apple right now, and I'm gonna be that guy because you know I use iPhones, but I don't use Macs or anything like that.
Yeah.
But as an iPhone user since I don't know the iPhone 4, right?
Right.
Bar none, once you get used to that
Yeah.
lifestyle, in the sense once you're in it,
I've used it. I've used it for 4 years. I've used the 6S Plus, and I know what you're talking about. Like when you switch,
yeah.
there's no that
Convenience.
smoothness. There's the fluidity of using experience of the phone is not there. Yeah.
And just the intuitive, like how
Yeah.
intuitive it is.
Intuitive it
Just
is,
like you go in it, there's no extra menu, there's no themes, there's
Yeah.
no wallpaper.
Yeah.
And it's just your apps, your icon, you put a wallpaper, you're done.
Yeah.
And if you want the customization aspect, right, you
Right.
get into jailbreaking and like
Yeah,
That's a whole
there
other
you
thing
can
altogether.
get your way around it. Even I think so slowly Androids are also catching up. Like the new what is that? Which one's this one? OnePlus, yeah. Even the Pixel from the Google, they are catching up with the
Yeah, yeah.
cameras and stuff. Like the cameras are
Yo,
getting
yeah,
better in all phones.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think
I
so. We
was
should.
just saying,
Yeah, you were saying.
I was just saying, like, might be Pixel's camera is even better than the 11
Yeah,
to be
you could
honest.
make that argument. Yeah, I have not seen
Yeah.
them side to side, but I've heard a lot of people talk about Pixel's camera being way too good to other phones. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's just top number one. People say 11 and Pixel's at top, but
Top,
low
yeah.
light, yeah. I mean, low light iPhone 11 really does something.
Yeah.
Does something. Meanwhile, Pixel is like
Yeah.
has I feel like better field of view or whatever.
Yeah. Anyway, it was great having you, man. We are running out of
Yeah,
time here.
man.
It's been a long
Yeah, same, same.
conversation. It was just great talking to you, bro. Like one
Great,
of
same,
the
bro.
more like a connection talk, I would say, because
Yeah.
your kind of version of what I wanted to be. Like I wanted to get into technical shit and make my own gears. I actually even thought about it.